Hey lovelies, welcome back to my channel. My name is Uloma. I make lifestyle straight talking videos and pretty much anything that interests me. So if you're new here, thank you so much for watching this video, and I pray you stay by subscribing. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for watching. So in case you don't know, I'm currently writing a book. I'm writing a book on spiritual awakening, trauma, and anxiety, mental issues, heavy subjects. And I'm going to read you an excerpt from my book. That's going to be the premise of this discussion. I'm going to talk about how your self-esteem can make or mar you. Your self-esteem can derail you from the path which you are supposed to follow. And I'm here to tell you that sometimes, or most of the time, it's not your fault, because your self-esteem is actually given to you. So a lot of the time, you do not have control over how you feel about yourself, except you come into consciousness, and then you begin to realize that, okay, this is not my path, and you begin to correct those things that have been imputed into you, and you begin to follow your true path. So I'm just going to read you this before I talk about it. Now, what is self-esteem? Self-esteem is the way you perceive yourself. Self-esteem is the worthiness of yourself, how you think of yourself, what worth you've placed on yourself, what value you have placed on yourself, and that is very, very important in your life path. Remember that we are a manifestation of the universe, and certain variables came to align, which formed humanity, which formed us. And all humanity is made from that one fabric, that one cloth. Even though we are a different manifestation, which has given us like a different path in life. But because we are made from one fabric, our experiences can be intertwined, interwoven, though our paths are different. So that means that there is always a relatability, especially in cases of experiences. I'm always going to say that I know nothing. I'm always going to say that I only speak from my own experience, so therefore I might be ignorant. Okay, so take it if it resonates. That's why I always focus on resonation. Take it if it resonates. But I don't think that I am far-fetched from what I think is happening, because I've just explained to you our human experiences and how it's interwoven. I wrote down the best self-esteem to have is mid self-esteem, mid esteem of self. If you have low self-esteem, you avoid people, miss out on the world and opportunities, all because of the way people make you feel, or the way you have concocted in your head people feel about you. Exactly the definition that I gave. This is just like a rough work. I'm going to fine-tune this, okay? You think you are constantly being judged, either by the way you look, smell, or even think. So you isolate yourself. Now, that's true for low self-esteem. Growing up, okay, I grew up in a family that was so body-centered. I was born in the 1980s, late 1980s. They were so body-centered. I remember that I was a teenager in the era of Britney Spears, in the era of Christina Aguilera, Pink. Those were the times of low-waist jeans, and I came into puberty at that time. So naturally, I would feel up in places, and I come from a family that are not skinny. My mom is not skinny. Majority of my mom's sisters are not skinny. Even the ones that are skinny, I know they do that through tears and blood. But I started feeling out, my breasts started coming up, and all sorts of comments were made on my body. I was gaining weight. Because before puberty hit, I was quite a skinny child, so I was gaining weight, and that was when the problem started. People started commenting on my body, family members, people I didn't know didn't bother me as much. That was the time I started getting attention from men, but they didn't bother me as much because they're not my family. But my family was so toxic, so fat phobic, that they made my body all the what that I had. I was very, very academically sad. I'll come back to that. Very sad when it came to my book and came to my goals. I knew how to reach my goals, but I didn't know how to make my body fit society standard. I didn't know how to be skinny. Even the times I resorted to starving myself, I wasn't bulging, and that's because I got to know now that I had developed PCOS. All the signs, all the symptoms were there, from painful periods to having hair all over my stomach. It was there, but coming from Nigeria, we didn't really go to the hospital like that, except you're practically dying. That's when you're going to go to the hospital. So I didn't know that I had all that. So it was a struggle for me, and that took a toll on my self-worth. That stopped me from actually getting the right partner, making friends, because I felt I was not worth it. I was not worthy enough to take up space, or I didn't feel that I belonged because I've been beaten down. And that is all I got to know, because these are the people I looked up to, and they were the ones telling me these things, so it must be true. So I internalized that stuff to the extent that I felt that at some point I was no use in this world, so I got to, I just want to get out of it. But I had to make the switch when I started coming into consciousness. But it's always two extremes with me. I had low self-esteem, and now I'm all that. Let me read you something on high self-esteem, then I continue. In the case of high self-esteem, it's the opposite of low self-esteem, but the destination is the same, isolation. In the case of high self-esteem, you get so used to attention, to people's smile of approval, people constantly judging if you're up to their level, so that they can see you as an actual human being, communicate with you. You don't leave your house until you're good all around from top to bottom. The pressure of trying to stay in top shape and tear becomes too much, hence you isolate yourself. The best place to be is mid. You don't think so highly of yourself or so lowly, so you're just in the best headspace to mingle with people of all levels of the society. That way you'll never be bored, but you'll never be bored or validation seeking. You never have the need for validation or the need to isolate yourself. So since I couldn't find strength in how I looked, I couldn't rely on that, because I thought, what's the use when all I've been told is of this worthlessness I carried. I channeled all the energy and all my self-worth and my validation towards academia, which that was where I found my validation. And I felt that if I didn't do good enough, then that amplifies the unworthiness times two, because I'm not a woman, a desirable woman, so then I do not have brains, I do not have smarts. And the truth is, I then channeled all my smarts to a field that I felt was approved by people, which was the sciences. So naturally I did well in that. But as time went on, I found out that I wasn't getting fulfillment in this. But then the ego came. What are you besides your dreams and aspiration? You'll be a failure if you do not complete this. I went ahead to get a master's degree in biotechnology. But this is the first time I'm going to say this out loud. Biotechnology was never my passion. In fact, I never did have any passion besides sciences until now that I'm beginning to come into myself, and I'm beginning to realize that, I think my path is teaching. My path is to be a life coach. I never knew anything like a life coach existed. But my path was to be a life coach, was to guide people, was to help people who are going through life. Because we have a journey in life. Everyone has a different path in life. Some people are going to struggle. okay? Especially those ones who haven't found their through authentic path. They are gonna struggle. And we want everyone to experience the human experience as much as possible, especially the positive parts of living, because you cannot have positive without a negative. It's not gonna be life. Life is ups and down, but you're gonna say you have a good life if all the majority of it is positive, okay? And my path is to call people to have a greater experience in living, and there's so many things that affect the quality of life, and majority of them, I'll say 80% of them, is mental. It's mental. A lot of people do not know how powerful the mental is, how powerful your head is, how powerful things you say to yourself is. Words, logos, very powerful. What you think, very powerful. What you think, so you are. I think, therefore I am. So powerful. And a lot of people do not know that. So my job is to guide people into that path where they can come to consciousness and come to their real authentic self. So why having a really high esteem is bad is that it's very isolating, because all you think about is the approval of people. You are now so addicted to it that without this approval you're nothing. So you do more than you're supposed to. You try as much as you can to keep that facade. That's why you see like the most bubbly people, the most people you think are so accomplished, the most people you never think had troubles in this world. You just hear one day, they're gone. They unalive themselves. And you'll be wondering, wow, what happened? It's all mental. They may seem to be achieving strides that you can never dare achieve, but inside of them, they do not see their worthiness. Or sometimes it's very difficult to hold on to that facade, to that life that they've created for themselves that is not actually them. I came across a TikTok video today about a man, a good family man who had a good job, he had a family, all was smiling, funny, and all of a sudden the wife said he unalived himself. And that was it. Till this day she never knew why. A lot of people put up a front because that's what society wants them to be. You know, that's the way they get respect, that's the way they get from society's approval, is to become something that you're not, living their own path. Because, you know, approval is nice. We are social human beings. We are born seeking validation, and it takes only a conscious man to actually recognize that, hey, this is ego talking. This is not my real authentic self, and be able to separate themselves from it and damn in the consequences. For you, the ordinary person who's not in their head, you think this person is making a great stride, but this person is struggling to hold on to that reality that they have created for themselves, a reality that is false. Then the mental illness begins. The self-doubt begins. The imposter syndrome begins. The unworthiness begins. I found that talking to people, 80% of people I've met are masking. People do not show their true authentic self. Even right off the bat. Even some people take years to peel off the layers and show themselves. It's because we as a society, we have been bred or trained to mask ourselves, to mask our feelings, to package ourselves. We hide our raw form or our raw sense of ourselves. And we need to expose our raw form for we to be on our main authentic path. If not, we are going to be continually unfulfilled with life. We're going to continually experience life like moving against the grain. But when you're already in your path, I'll give you a teaching of how to know when you're already in your right path. You're just there. You're just gonna flow. You're like water. You're gonna flow. But when you're not on your right path, is gonna be like walking on a mountain hill that is you're being pushed back by an avalanche. And some people, especially when it comes to some religion, they said nothing good comes easy. I don't believe that. I don't believe nothing good comes easy. I believe that what is for you comes easy to you because it's already yours. Just that you have not started living in that reality yet. So you struggle. So now I've talked about low self-esteem, high self-esteem. Now we're going to go to mid self-esteem. I think the best way to actually leave this world, because you have to be smart about it. If you think so highly of yourself, a lot of people will see you as a threat. It's just like a hero. The villain will always come attacking because they want to put down the hero. You continue to have battle with your nemesis. You're always center of attention. People are always going to try to pull you down. And as you age or as you go on in life, the body is everly depreciating. The mind is everly getting weaker and weaker by the day. From the day you are born to die. So you're eventually going to get weaker by the day. And some people cannot stand that they're going to get weaker. What they do is they end up unaliving themselves. So when you are a constant threat and you are in the state of constantly trying to fend off villains and nemesis, you're going to get tired. It's going to be tiring. And when you think so lowly of yourself, you're going to be a stone or a foot mat, not a stone, a foot mat for bullies. You're gonna be a sponge that absorbs people's negativity because people can then dump on you. You're gonna be dumped on. Nobody will think you worthy of anything because, hey, you do not think yourself worthy of anything, so why should people think you worthy? You're gonna be the butt of the joke. But when you are mid, okay, nobody takes you too seriously, nobody looks low, nobody looks down on you, you go through life unscathed. Life becomes a lot easier for you because you can hide under the shadows, you can hide within, the top tier in court, and you can also go within low tier. You fit in everywhere. You're relatable at the same time people can figure you out. You're an enigma. You're a wonder. You're not threatening enough for people to take you seriously. You're not lowly enough for you to be a butt of the joke. So it's good to have a healthy mid-esteem. I always tell people to, in fact, embrace the I don't care attitude. And that's the era I am now, an era of I don't care. I don't care what you think of me, I don't care what people say, I don't care. As long as it resonates with me and as long as I'm not hurting you and as long as I'm following my own path and being my own authentic self, I don't care. And quite frankly, that's the way you should think. Because if people are mean to you, it's the reflection of themselves. It's how they see themselves, because you cannot give what you don't have. You cannot give kindness if you don't have kindness. You cannot give goodness if you don't have goodness with it. You can only give what you have. So the thing is that once I see a bully or someone who tries to make people feel down or lonely, I feel pity. I feel pity. But for the ordinary person, they begin to assimilate these things, which at the end of the day ends up in destroying yourself for something we know concern you. It's none of your business what they think, because what they think is a representation of them. I like to listen to people talk, because when people talk, they reveal the very essence of themselves, slowly by slowly. At this point in my life, I can tell someone who has low self-esteem, I can tell someone who has really high self-esteem that is so detrimental to the person, and I can tell someone apart who has a really healthy self-esteem. most politicians, most CEOs, most people around the world, they have weak self-esteem. Most people who you have seen, I'm not saying all of them, most people who you have seen that have gone through great things, have achieved great things, but at the end of the day, they end up unaliving themselves. Those are the people that have high self-esteem and, you know, their ego took over. I'm not saying ego is bad. Ego actually forms the very core of who we are. But the problem is, if you let ego take over your very essence, that is going to derail you from your path and you're going to become who you're not. There are so many ways to cultivate that mid self-esteem. You have to put your ego in check. You have to see yourself as nothing and everything at the same time. You have to tell yourself you know nothing and be a sponge to assimilate. And when you tell yourself you know nothing, you hunger for knowledge, you don't care where it's coming from. You see people the way they are, not because of what they can do for you. Alright, that's it for me today. Tomorrow I'm going to be here, okay? I'm going to talk about deja vu. You know, deja vu, that thing you see like an occurrence and you say in your mind, oh, I've seen this somewhere. I'll tell you why deja vu happens, and it's gonna surprise you. So that's it for me today. I'll see you when next time post. Bye. Bye bye.